Teachers, what did you discover about a student that shut down an entire school district? I found the journal during lunch duty on a Thursday in March. One of my 8th graders, Sophia Mendez, had left her backpack unzipped on the cafeteria table when she went to throw away her tray. A blue notebook slid out and fell open on the floor. I picked it up to close it and saw my own name written in her handwriting at the top of the page. Mr. Lawson doesn't know what Principal Vance does in his office after school. None of them know, but I know because I have to go there 3 times a week for extra help. Except it's not extra help, it's something else. Something wrong. I want to tell someone, but who would believe me? Principal Vance is friends with the superintendent. He gives speeches at school board meetings. Everyone loves him. I'm just a kid who gets bad grades. My hands went cold. I read the entry again to make sure I understood what I was seeing. The words were clear and specific. Sophia described being called to the principal's office under the pretense of academic tutoring. She described Principal Vance locking the door. She described him touching her in ways that made her uncomfortable. She described this happening multiple times over several months. She wrote that she'd tried to avoid going, but he'd threatened to fail her out of 8th grade if she didn't show up. My stomach turned. I looked up and saw Sophia coming back to the table. She saw the notebook in my hands and her face went white. She grabbed it from me without saying anything and shoved it back in her bag. Then she walked out of the cafeteria fast, almost running. I stood there frozen for a moment, trying to process what I'd just read. Every instinct told me this was real. Sophia's fear when she saw me holding the journal wasn't the reaction of someone who'd made something up. That was genuine terror. I needed to report this immediately, but I also knew how these things worked. Accusations against administrators rarely went anywhere, especially when the administrator was as connected as Principal Vance. He'd been at Lincoln Middle School for 12 years. He was respected throughout the district. The superintendent considered him a mentor. If I reported this, and it turned out to be a misunderstanding somehow, my career would be over. But if I didn't report it, and Sophia was telling the truth, I'd be complicit in ongoing abuse. There wasn't really a choice. I left the cafeteria and went straight to the counselor's office. Rachel Kimura had been the school counselor for 6 years, and I trusted her more than anyone else on staff. She was in her office eating a sandwich and looked up when I knocked on her open door. "Can I talk to you?" "It's urgent." Rachel set down her sandwich and gestured for me to close the door. I sat across from her desk and explained what had happened with Sophia's journal. Rachel's expression changed from curious to horrified as I described what I'd read. "You need to file a report with Child Protective Services immediately, like right now. This can't wait." Rachel pulled up the CPS hotline number on her computer and wrote it down for me. "I'll document that you came to me with this information so there's a record. But you need to be the one to make the call since you're the one who saw the journal." I called CPS from Rachel's office and spent 20 minutes on the phone with an intake specialist explaining what I'd read in Sophia's journal. The specialist asked detailed questions about what the entries said, when they were dated, whether I'd observed any concerning behavior from Sophia or Principal Vance. I answered everything as accurately as I could remember. The specialist said she'd open an investigation immediately and someone would be in contact with the school within 24 hours. She also said I was required to report this information to the school district's Human Resources Department since the accused was a district employee. I hung up and looked at Rachel. "HR next?" Rachel nodded. "Better to get ahead of it. If Vance finds out you reported him through the grapevine before you've talked to HR, he could claim you went around proper channels and tried to damage his reputation." I called the district HR office and explained the situation to the director, a woman named Gloria Reeves, who I'd only met once at a new teacher orientation years ago. Gloria listened without interrupting until I finished. Then she said she'd need to see the journal entries herself and would be sending someone to the school immediately to interview me and hopefully interview Sophia as well. Gloria asked if Principal Vance was aware of the situation yet. I said no. She said to keep it that way until their investigator arrived. She said under no circumstances should I discuss this with anyone except her office and the counselor. Then she hung up. Rachel looked at me with concern. "How are you doing?" I realized my hands were shaking. I just accused our principal of sexually abusing a student based on reading a few pages of her private journal. If this is real, it's the worst thing I've ever encountered. If it's somehow not real, I just destroyed a man's career and my own. Rachel shook her head. "You did the right thing. You're a mandatory reporter. You saw evidence of abuse and you reported it. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Whatever happens next isn't on you, but it felt like it was on me. I was the one who'd read the journal. I was the one making the accusations. If this went sideways, I'd be the target." The district investigator arrived 90 minutes later. Her name was Patricia Oleander. She had tired eyes and carried herself with weariness. When she interviewed me in Rachel's office with Rachel present, what happened next changed everything. Full story is linked below or on my channel.